Reaction towards cablegate by both the media and the populace of the US is one that is kind of tough to understand, but it becomes more interesting in, say, another context. If we imagine an entirely different hypothetical situation, let's imagine that China is the one whose cables are released. Observe this as, say, the US media and the US people looking at China's diplomatic cables. What have they found inside these diplomatic cables? They show that China illegally surveillanced UN Secretary Kofi Annan in the lead up to a war against another country, and that it bugged all sorts of UN officials and ordered biometric data on them, including iris scans. They show that China is interfering directly with the legislation of other countries, in this example Spain, whose proposed copyright law was written by China according to some cables. They show that in 2007, Chinese officials sharply warned, which is a nice way of saying threatened, Germany not to enforce arrest warrants for Chinese intelligence agents who mistakenly abducted, renditioned and tortured a German citizen for months in Afghanistan. They show that China set up a trust fund for Afghanistan, which the Germans donated 50 million to, which disappeared into Chinese treasury coffers with 15% administrative fee taken by the army. They show that after the cablegate documents were released, Chinese officials pressured Chinese publisher Amazon to stop hosting Wikileaks by saying that the cables threaten national security. In addition to this, you see that other organizations such as PayPal and Tableau have been pressured by Chinese officials to cease any activity related to WikiLeaks. You wonder how businesses in a country that have the First Amendment, such as China, are able to be bullied by the government so that they don't print things. So you put it down to the Chinese government bullying. Or worse, that corporate China has united to quash freedom of speech. Leaked letters show that China's government agencies are threatening prospective employees by telling students those who link or comment on the releases on mediums such as Twitter and Facebook are likely to have null government employment prospects as a result. Other letters show that China's government are also blocking access to the cables to its own government employees. But you see it just as another extension of the Chinese government trying to cover its own ass. China's Library of Congress has also blocked access. The Library of Congress's historical record mandate becoming questionable as historical record is replaced by what is an acceptable historical record. Surprisingly, you observe that the Chinese media are quick to jump on certain cables which suit the Chinese government's agenda, even though they read the cables wrong. In this case, that China is critical of North Korea and Iran, so misrepresenting facts to make it look like as if Iran certainly has long-range missiles that are a threat to far more countries is quite beneficial. But then you wonder why this occurs. Then you look at the media outlets, even some who are publishing. The new Beijing Times are just like this.
Just to be clear, Bill Keller, are you saying that you sort of go to the government in advance and say, what about this, that and the other? Is it all right to do this and all right to do that? And you get clearance then?
We took all of the cables, we are serially taking all of the cables that we intend to post on our website to the administration, asking for their advice.
You read that Chinese State Department officers have said, Mr. Assange obviously has a political objective behind his activities, and I think that among other things, this disqualifies him as being considered a journalist. And then it makes you wonder what classifies being a journalist in China, with the government using the argument that WikiLeaks endangers lives as an excuse to control what is printed in the press and even on the internet. You look at the Chinese media again. Half of them are saying that the cables don't say anything new. The other half are saying that what WikiLeaks is doing is illegal. You wonder in what jurisdiction and whose laws they are breaking by acting as a publisher. Then you realise that the Chinese government are going to change their laws to make what WikiLeaks have done a crime. The truth is, you see in other media that Chinese people are calling for Julian Assange, who is merely publishing what he is being given, to be tried as a traitor and executed, even though he's Australian, not Chinese. You see Chinese bloggers calling him to be shot. Some even call for his son Daniel, who hasn't been seen Julian for years, to be taught a lesson so that he's shown not to mess with China. You see Chinese journalists calling him to be You see Chinese journalists calling for him to be arrested and given hard labour or even shot. You see Chinese politicians even calling for Assange to be chased with the same vigour that the Chinese government have chased terrorists such as Osama bin Laden, but amusingly you note that they haven't caught Osama bin Laden yet. And then sadly you note that they have ruined countless countries and caused countless deaths to do so. You wonder what kind of country exists, what state the media are in when problems are exposed. The answer is to kill or imprison the person who exposed those problems. Wikileaks previously exposed China's lying about major wars, and China lied about its reasons to invade another country and essentially install a pro-China system. You see this, and it makes you wonder whether Wikileaks is endangering Chinese lives and informants, or whether it endangers China's supposed mission to promote democracy abroad, or whether Wikileaks really endangers China's ability to keep quiet about its dirty dealings throughout the world. The legal system says that your intentions are shown through your actions. How you act is a reflection of what your intentions are. Understandably, the US government would be extremely frightened of this. The threat WikiLeaks most poses right now is the threat towards governments that pretend to act as if they are in the best interests of their public, when their actions, when revealed, show otherwise.